Welcome everyone. I am Mr. Goldenbaum, and this is Supremacy 1914. So the day is day 3. We have about 2 hours before the next day tick, and we survived an absolutely brutal onslaught yesterday. Shortly after we ended the video yesterday, Mexico decided to go all out on us. So let's see, if we just pull up the paper here, you can see there was a lot of destruction. Armored cars, Heroes, Fiona, Allenby, Orhan, just more armored cars. It was an onslaught and it was a massacre. So on here, 25 to 117, we had 15,000 losses going into this, and I believe they had 25 as well from that initial Hank exchange. So we essentially took an additional 10,000 in losses, and they took 90. It was a massacre. Shortly after we defeated the Mexican army led by Hank, we were able to take the Double Wood province, the Double Steel province. At this point, we had Mexico reaching out to all of our neighboring countries, requesting that they attack us as soon as possible. Now's the opportunity to attack. Though unfortunately, that wasn't enough, and I'm a little bit on a high alert here because there might be a few nations that may try something. But they had actually reached out to our ally in Louisiana, requesting them to attack us, and they just kind of let us know what was going on. But immediately after that, they went on the offensive. So we had only taken out about 25,000 troops, and I believe there was another 20 stack that did take our province here in Lubak, which left, 80, 90,000. I don't know how much they were producing. I believe they may have had some barracks. In troops in their home territory, and it's not like they were attacking anyone else, any of the AIs. So what they did is they decided to launch a full-on offensive against us. Now what we saw were stacks and stacks of troops that Mexico was bringing up from the interior of their country over to us. I believe once they lost this province here, the AI reached the edge and then decided, hey, this distance here is super long, and what they did instead is kind of go around, hit the grain province, and then went directly for us. We were able to start construction, or I should say try to finish construction on a fortification in this area. I believe we had a fort here that we canceled. We really didn't need it. This province is so key since it defends all of our it defends our entire western flank here, with only having to garrison and fortify a single province. So we definitely were going to build that up. Unfortunately, we had low morale. The construction would take forever. We managed to get maybe like a third of a fort in, so maybe we were getting like 9%, 10% defensive, a little defensive bonus in terms of damage reduction. Not a lot, but every bit does count. But with that, Mexico sent everything he had at us. 90,000 plus troops. As I mentioned earlier, he was coming in with Orhan and armored cars, Allenby, single stacks. Mexico made 2 mistakes. The first is he spread out all of these infantry stacks, armored car stacks, hero stacks into individual armies. He didn't attack in one massive stack of 90,000. It was about 4 or 5 kind of sporadically spread out, hitting every hour, hour and a half, maybe sometimes every 15 minutes. And so our forces were able to just whittle them down piece by piece. They just kept going right into the meat grinder. The second mistake that Mexico did was force march every single one of his troops straight into our fortified province. So one, it was a fortified province, and 2, he was force marching. So maybe 3 mistakes in this situation. And with force march, I believe you take 5% hit points per hour. Luckily, the AI saved him from having to traverse this long distance and kind of go through friendly territory and only have to go through a little stretch that was on my territory. But as a result, he took troops that were 80-90% morale, just suicided them right into us, and we were just able to mop them up, and our forces had a morale of maybe 50%. They survived the engagement with Hank, so they weren't strong whatsoever. Despite all that, Mexico, you certainly caught us off guard a few times. If you're watching this, hey man, congratulations. Hopefully those few little points there kind of will help you out. We did exchange a few messages afterwards. We're on good terms. You definitely caught me off guard with those surprise attacks. The forced march, again, should you have combined them all into a 90 stack with, I mean, you take the best hero for the situation, mostly infantry, I probably would have recommended Hank. Allenby, I don't believe really helps you out when it comes to infantry, and I don't believe you really had any cavalry. Again, movement speed boost would have been great, but I don't believe you had them at 6 stars either. At that point, I think you probably should have just grouped them all up into Orhan. Fiona wasn't going to help you. And I can't recall if you had this other guy. It's day 4, so you probably didn't. But you should have just grouped them all up at Orhan and attacked me. Unfortunately, as a result, we were able to... Fortunately, as a result of that massacre, we were able to occupy most of Mexico's territories. As of right now, we are heading straight for the capital. We were a little cautious this morning when we saw forces from western Mexico kind of coming in to save Coahuila. I am totally butchering this. I've just been calling them Mexico since Mexico's on the Texas border. But his allies really aren't helping, and when I look at all these provinces and see that they're all unguarded, this is really tempting. Right now, our average morale is it 63%? Where's our morale on here? This is popularity. Where is the morale? Oh, I'm an idiot. It's right here. It's 61%. Again, I think you need around 65% or so for a lot of the single resource provinces to be producing a surplus. We need a little bit of time to recuperate. I definitely want this capital. Unfortunately, we weren't able to really sack any kind of any production from him. He had workshops in these 2 provinces, but somehow they didn't survive the engagement, even though there was only like a stack of 1 infantry in there. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's not going to make a big difference. What I would like to do now is kind of solidify my control over Mexico. I let these additional troops from West Mexico leave. They're attacking the AI. That's fine. They can go for it. Not too interested in the single provinces. However, they do have both of their double provinces within view. I kind of doubt that they're being garrisoned. I mean, there's a coalition, right? So this border is safe. This border is an AI. This country isn't really playing, but okay, hey, let's say he's got some troops on the border here. We know he's sending any of his reinforcements straight over here onto the conquest, straight over here to conquer these AI territories. He's only lost 34,000, so he has at least 70,000, if not more, plus armored cars, heroes, whatever he's got in the area. I think they're concentrated over, like right over here. We know they're not going after the province over here, up here with the oil, but that means he's sitting exposed. And so the question is, do we wait and kind of consolidate, regroup? And there's your pros in there as well. But on the downside, if we give them time to regroup, I mean, there's 2 of them and they are fresh. I mean, we just looked at it. This guy lost 34,000. This other guy lost 26,000. And we've also lost 36,000, but we also have an entire northern border to defend. And, well, we took out 200,000 so far. I think those are pretty good odds, and I think probably the best in the game here. And that's despite having to take some unfavorable engagements against heroes with, again, low morale units going up against higher morale units earlier on. But I think the plan here is we are going to take Orhan, Shout out to Squid Supremacy and his Orhan Masterclass video. We're going to group up additional armored cars. Orhan himself, I think, would be enough, but if there's 1 or 2, maybe even 3 infantry, this should be enough to kind of break through relatively quickly. I'm not interested in keeping these provinces, but as we get a little bit further, I will split up these units. The goal here is to disrupt his core economy, and by core economy, I'm referring to his high province morale starting provinces. If I can take over his food production, his biggest surplus right now is fish. Even if I take the fish, I think he'll be good on food for a little bit. Energy, he seems to have a decent amount, but materials, he's certainly struggling. So I think we'll definitely focus on hitting these 3 as we take the capital. But I'm hoping if we take his provinces that are near 100%, oh, that's surprising, 100% at this stage in the game? I mean, we're only at 95%, and we've sacked 2 capitals already. I'm surprised he was able to get 100%. Same thing with this guy. I mean, they've only been able to go after 1, maybe 2 AIs tops. 2 AIs as well, so it's a little surprising. I mean, it could have been boosters. Maybe there's something I'm missing here. But this is really going to hit him hard. Unfortunately, I'd love to do the same against the other state, Chihuahua, let's just, Northwest Mexico. Ideally, I could just leave him be for the time being. I don't know if that's possible. The big issue here is nation colors. There we go. Is California here, Northern California. They have destroyed all of the South Californian soldiers, forces, 112,000. They really didn't lose much themselves, meaning they are fresh, they're ready to go. Most of his troops are here in the south, and what does he border? He could go into Arizona, but then the other option is Northwest Mexico. If they're going to duke it out, I would much rather have Northwest Mexico shift all his forces northwest. Leave me alone. Maybe I can come in after the fact, you know, if I see an opportunity. But I don't want to antagonize him. But is that even a possibility? It's a risk, right? There's a risk if I do it, a risk if I don't. Right now, though, we are going to, again, take the capital, boost our morale. We desperately need the resource production. We're running deficits in food, significant deficits in food, a deficit in energy. Despite having a surplus in oil here, we've been trying to buy coal to kind of keep us afloat. Materials, we are doing well, especially after we conquered these 2 provinces. And in fact, what we're going to do here is build a railroad. I know that the morale here is not good, but the production is better than anything you're going to get out of these single provinces. It's going to help boost the morale, help troop movements. It's a little further back than this Wood province. This is where I'm going to be building fortifications as my last line of defense if I do have to retreat. But these materials will significantly help us out. I do also want to build a railroad here, but before I do that, let's just balance our wood production, because I was going heavy on the iron, so I had enough for the railroad. But as you can see, we are desperately in need of resources. I'm really banking on the fact that we will be able to take this capital soon. I'll definitely do the 24-minute trick once we get a little close. I think we're still another 24 minutes away before we can do that. But things are looking really good in Texas. Louisiana here has, for the most part, wrapped up Mississippi. He's got 1 more left. He's going in for the AI, and the nice thing for him is that the AI is actually going at him with 27,000 troops. A lot of these AI nations have 4 provinces, 10,000 troops each. That's 40,000. He's taken out a few stragglers, 6, 2,000 here. This is going to be most of his armies, most of the AI's army. And if he can take the defensive fight, take the defensive damage bonus, It's not really a bonus, but if he can take the defensive stats, whereas the AI takes the offensive stats and goes in single file, he's going to massacre the AI. He can take his Hank army, clear up the wood here, take the capital, give all his provinces a nice little morale boost, increase production, and at that point he's set to go in on Florida. Florida lost 66,000 troops fighting, and I'm pretty sure most of his forces are down here in the south, in Cuba. He's got 20,000 here, so he's going to get the double oil, double wood. I mean, he's looking great. Georgia is in good shape, but I don't believe they're active. So Louisiana, I mean, this is all for your taking. North Carolina's kind of gotten bogged down. Pennsylvania's active, but other than that, I mean, this is all his playground at this point. So, hey man, keep up the good work. We were able to produce 2 additional balloons yesterday. We were able to get one in the northwest to essentially confirm that there are no active troops in our area in Utah. This is ideal. This allowed me to kind of shift additional forces away from this province. I am still keeping a sizable force here, as I don't know what his plan is. But as soon as we are able to see the next country that he's at war with, we'll be able to reallocate troops. As of right now, he only lost 30,000. So he's got, 70, 80, 90,000 soldiers kind of running around somewhere that he could, in theory, concentrate and go after us. With everything going on, I don't really want to antagonize him. Not to mention, I don't want to create any kind of clear opportunities for North California unless I'm ready to actually go onto the offensive and hold these territories. But right now, again, I'm struggling for morale. We did get another balloon up here. We're able to see that Missouri was trying to go after the AI. I believe they may have launched about 20,000 troops. Yeah, probably around 20,000 troops to go up against the AI capital here in Arkansas. They lost. Arkansas reinforced, and we were able to go for a quick and easy fight here. And now we're kind of making our way for the capital. I want that capital boost. I want the resources, but I don't really care for the production. I don't really like these single provinces. I'm only taking the oil because I want to create a buffer. We have most of our production literally concentrated between Grove and Wilburton right here with the double grain and double coal. The last thing I want is a massive army right here on the border. It means I have to garrison these provinces, defend them. If I take damage, that's my railroads, factories, barracks, what have you. Not an ideal situation. Missouri may not like it. It may antagonize him, but in this situation, it's certainly worth it. And it looks like we will be able to get away with hitting this capital before he does. Once we take it, we're just going to head home. We don't need to stay there. The AI can take it. I don't really care for these resources that much. I'm just going to set up a new defensive line with these nice long travel distances. That'll give us a nice buffer against Missouri for any kind of future incursions. And the army that Mexico had over here in Lubbock, 20,000 strong, attacked Colorado City. We were able to pull our offensive army from this East Texas, I believe. The forces that secured all of these areas here, primarily armored cars in Orhan, they were able to reinforce this area, and it was another massacre. Stood no chance. Fiona's not an offensive hero. She is, I believe, one of the strongest heroes in the game, especially early game. But, I mean, average damage of 4, hit points of 20. It's essentially a little bit worse than a regular infantry unit, since she has a bit less defense, but you don't want to be leading an army with Fiona. You don't even get the movement bonus in enemy territory. So things are looking good. I'm more so concerned in the west. The eastern flank is pretty well secure. Missouri, I hope to keep them at bay. Utah, I hope he starts going after some of these AI minor countries, maybe toward California, have them compete. And if there ever is a conflict, I guess we can always go in and start taking some of these provinces in here in Colorado. but we would have to put together a force here, and unfortunately we are bogged down in Mexico. And with that, we will see you all next time. And in the south, we were actually able to force march one of the balloons that was produced up in the northeast down over here to the southwest. Again, I don't like force marching my units. That 5% penalty is significant. However, I mean, balloons, they're not really an offensive unit. They're not a defensive unit. Yes, if I am trying to defend against a much larger force and I'm only able to put together a few thousand troops, and maybe the balloon will make a slight difference in holding a fort or some other key position, I'll do it. But otherwise, I mean, balloons are relatively squishy. Useful against bombers, fighters, just kind of planes in general with their strong air defensive bonus and offensive bonus. But in the early game here, I mean, there's no there are no bombers, there's no fighters. Really, I just want this intel as soon as possible, and it was able to reveal a lot of these individual provinces of Western Mexico. Though I reckon a lot of these are only a few thousand. I'm curious to see what he's got right in the border, because if we're able to successfully launch this attack, and with this balloon, we can see if there's any troops here. If we're able to successfully launch this attack, I mean, I might just U-turn and go straight for the capital, or take some of our other reinforcing units. I mean, with only 2,000 troops garrisoning this province, I take the fort for my own, take the workshop, go after Fiona so he's not able to really recruit anything, and kind of hunker down here. Even if California goes in from the west, I mean, they're going after a lot of single provinces, and at that point we would have taken the double oil, which would be our first and a huge resource in the later stages here of the game, to be able to continue to maintain and produce armored vehicles, tanks, rail guns, battleships, bombers, everything. The wood would certainly be nice, and then again, of course, we would have access to this food, which will feed our entire economy here going forward.